Here's your wrestling news for October 1st, 2022. And we're starting off today with some sad news as wrestling legend Antonio Inoki has died at the age of 79. Not just a 12-time world champion, including being the first IWGP heavyweight champion and an unofficial reign as WWF champion, Inoki was the founder of New Japan and a true legend of the industry. During Smackdown, WWE paid their respects to Inoki, even acknowledging his unofficial title win, while WWE's head of talent Triple H and AEW president Tony Khan paid tribute to the legend with tweets. Impact Wrestling also extended their condolences to those who knew Inoki, as did countless others across social media. A trainee of the legendary Rikidozan, perhaps Inoki's biggest match was his crossover fight with Muhammad Ali, which resulted in a draw in 1976. Outside of wrestling, Inoki was a successful politician in his native Japan, and we'd like to join those offering our condolences to this true legend of wrestling. Ever since Bray Wyatt's release last year, fans have been hopeful to see him back in WWE, especially now that Triple H is running creative. For weeks, the White Rabbit mystery has had fans believing Wyatt's return is just a matter of when and not if, and we got more clues during last night's Smackdown. During a segment at the commentary table, a fan held up the sign, "Revel in what you are," which fans quickly learned was the same line used in a tweet by Wyatt years ago. We have to believe that this sign was planted in the crowd by WWE, as if the company didn't want it to be so prominently featured, it wouldn't have made it on the show. That wasn't the only tease though, as after a Karrion Kross promo, a QR code appeared, taking fans to a new video with a new message. Even the URL for the video was interesting, as it was listed as 1911 on WWE.com, which was the number Wyatt wore on his hat during his Mad Hatter days in the Firefly Funhouse. 1911 could also reference the 19th of November, which is exactly 1 week before this year's Survivor Series event. As for the video, that featured imagery of the three little pigs, crossing bright and colorful imagery of the children's story with real dead pigs and a horrific wolf. A Morse code signal played in the video was also translated by fans into the message Azazel Reborn, referencing the Azazel demon of Jewish legend to whom a scapegoat was sacrificed. Sean Ross Sapp also noticed a tiny white rabbit in the corner of the video, which had the file name TS-S10E6. It took some figuring out, but the file name is likely a nod to The Simpsons Season 10, Episode 6 episode Doin' in the Wind, where Homer adopts his mother's hippie lifestyle and uses Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit song. The file name also contains a phone number which, when called, plays a message backward which states, "Bravo Echo Lima Alpha India Romero. I am the way into the city of woe. I am the way into eternal sorrow." This may stump fans who aren't caught up with their 13th century Italian poetry, but the lines about the city of woe and eternal sorrow are from Dante. Wrestling fans with an especially good memory may remember the City of Woe line from a Wyatt promo early into his main roster run, and the references didn't stop there. Dante's poem continues to use the line, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter," which was tweeted by Wyatt in 2020 and featured on the door of the Firefly Funhouse. In fact, Dante's epic poem Inferno, from which these lines have been used, could be considered a metaphor for Wyatt, beginning with the descent into hell, Wyatt's controversial release, going through purgatory this past year, before arriving in paradise, his return to WWE. This is all speculation, but the signs continue to point to a Wyatt return in what will no doubt be a huge moment for him, WWE, and the fans when he's finally back. At Survivor Series, WWE will have their first Wargames matches on the main roster, with 2 bouts scheduled, one for the men and one for the women. There's no confirmation yet on who will enter Wargames, but Damage Control want in the iconic structure. While speaking to WWE's German channel Die Wosch, Bayley was asked about Wargames and who she'd want as a 4th member of her team. "I'm gonna go with Rhea Ripley. Doesn't seem like she has any fear right now, and I like it, and I'm gonna take Tamina. Nobody meaner, and she has the most experience. She's got literally nothing to lose. I would much rather do Wargames than champion versus champion because that's something I've never done before, and I want to do everything in the WWE, so I would definitely want to do Wargames instead. No offense to Liv Morgan or Ronda Rousey." Given that Rhea Ripley is also a heel, it's not impossible that she could align with Damage Control for this one night in what would be an impressive quartet. Before Survivor Series, Bayley will face Raw Women's Champion Bianca Belair in a ladder match at Extreme Rules, so the role model hopes to enter Wargames with a title around her waist. One name we could see enter Wargames is Sasha Banks, though the boss of WWE hasn't been seen on TV in months. Banks hasn't appeared since May when she and Naomi walked out of Raw, but she's kept busy since then, appearing for New York Fashion Week, among other projects. Now Banks has given a tease as to what her next big project may be, as on Instagram, she shared an image of herself with some special effects being used. It wasn't too long ago that Banks expressed her desire to be in movies and already has some acting experience behind her, so perhaps this simple post will lead to something bigger for the former women's champion. In recent weeks, Andrade El Idolo has teased that he is unhappy in AEW, even using the hashtag #FreeElIdolo on Twitter just a few days ago. With his old boss in NXT, Triple H now running WWE's main roster, many feel Andrade is wanting out, and the former NXT champion has given another tease that this is the case. On Twitter, Andrade shared an image of himself doing Triple H's iconic DX crotch chop, and once again used the #FreeElIdolo hashtag in the tweet. Andrade also offered fans the chance to text him, saying he can answer their questions, but we imagine many of the questions will be about his AEW status. Not only has Andrade teased an AEW exit, but he has recently been at WWE's production, as a source within WWE's writing team reports that Andrade was backstage after this week's Raw alongside his wife Charlotte Flair. That same member of the writing team added that the two were seen visiting Triple H's office and spoke in private with WWE's head of talent relations for about an hour before leaving the arena. During Rampage, AEW got into the fun, setting up a match between Andrade and Ten next week, with the stipulation being that if he loses, Andrade must leave AEW. On Twitter, fans were skeptical that Andrade is going to leave the company, believing that this is just a case of AEW leaning on the rumors to add build to their show. Whatever the case, Andrade's career with AEW will be on the line during next week's AEW Dynamite, but win, lose, or draw, the former NXT champion could be WWE bound no matter what. Do you think Andrade should leave AEW for WWE, or should he stick it out with Tony Khan? Let us know below. The last time fans saw Brock Lesnar, it was at SummerSlam, where the Beast came up short in a last man standing match to Roman Reigns. Since then, the former Universal Champion has been absent from WWE TV, but there has been an update on when he's expected to compete next. According to Dave Meltzer in the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Lesnar's next match in the United States is currently listed for WWE Day 1 2023, which makes sense given he's featured prominently in advertising for the event. Meltzer added that despite the name, WWE is considering moving Day 1 away from January 1st, but if so, an announcement is expected within the next week. The wording of this report was interesting, as it specified that this will be Lesnar's next match in the US, keeping the window open for him to wrestle at next month's Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia. Whenever Brock competes, WWE treats it as a huge deal, but fans eager to see Lesnar in the States will still have to wait another 3 months. Over to Smackdown now, as Ronda Rousey faced Natalya in a match fans have seen at least 3 times now. While both women are talented, the match itself was somewhat dull, as the pair, ironically for being submission specialists, have little chemistry in the ring. This was just another step for Rousey, who will challenge for the SmackDown Women's Championship at Extreme Rules, and WWE has been making an effort to make Liv Morgan seem like a serious competitor. Unfortunately for her, all signs point towards Rousey getting the win and another SmackDown Women's title come this Saturday. Last night's SmackDown also had a Raw feel, as several superstars from the Red brand made it on the show. When Raw's Alpha Academy and Austin Theory beat down on Drew McIntyre, it was the dream team of Johnny Gargano and Kevin Owens who made the save. The Owens-Gargano alliance has been a fun one so far, with both men getting very loud reactions, so we wouldn't be surprised if it lasted for the rest of this year. Together, the trio of former NXT champions were able to stand tall over Alpha Academy and Theory, admittedly with a DQ win, but this was arguably the match of the night. During this week's AEW Dynamite, Saraya had her first promo for the company and had a choice line which many saw as a dig at WWE. Speaking about Tony Khan, Saraya said that it's so good to have a boss that finally listens to me. Given that WWE gave her some great opportunities and continue to pay her for years after her injury, many found Saraya's comment to be ungrateful, but that's not how she sees things. On Twitter, Saraya says that saying her current boss listens to her doesn't mean she hates WWE, adding that she loved her time there and that fans are tribal. In her tweet, Saraya did omit the part where she said that a boss finally listens to her, which is what fans have taken issue with, and after backlash for the tweet, Saraya deleted her post. Saraya is just the latest of many WWE turned AEW stars to take aim at their former employer, and while she believes she said nothing bad about WWE on Dynamite, that's not how many others see it. But what do you think about Saraya's comment and follow-up tweet? Let us know in the comments. When Valerie Loureda signed with WWE in June, she did so with a background in MMA, making her one of the biggest signings this year. The former Bellator fighter has only made a handful of appearances so far, but will be going by a different name going forward. On Twitter, Loureda confirmed that she has received her WWE name, confirming that she will have a change of name but didn't say what she'll be going by. Whatever the name is, Loureda seems pretty happy about what she'll be called, but we'll just have to wait and see what that name ends up being. At Double or Nothing earlier this year, Rush made his AEW debut, being introduced as the business partner of Andrade El Idolo. Since then, the two have been active in AEW's tag team division, and now Rush is here to stay. AEW President Tony Khan took to Twitter and officially announced that Rush has officially signed with the promotion, and this is likely a full-time deal with the promotion. This is certainly a special week for Rush, who also celebrated his birthday and picked up a win over John Silver on last night's Rampage. After appearing for AEW for months, it shouldn't be too much of a surprise that Rush is here to stay, but the former CMLL, MLW, and Ring of Honor name is calling AEW home. And we're ending with more from Smackdown as the six-man tag between Drew McIntyre, Johnny Gargano, and Kevin Owens versus Alpha Academy and Austin Theory was certainly entertaining, but a line from Michael Cole has had fans talking. On commentary, Cole discussed Theory's rise to success, calling him one of the most talented superstars WWE has seen in a while, but said that Mr. Money in the Bank could use an attitude adjustment. Of course, this was a nod to John Cena's finisher, and many believe that a match between the two is coming. Earlier this year, Theory was taking verbal shots at Cena, which led to many thinking that a match at SummerSlam was in the works, but that didn't happen. Despite this, it's now believed that Cena vs. Theory is being saved for WrestleMania 39, and this week's SmackDown could be the start of something big for both men. Well guys, that's our news for today. Please share your comments below. Also hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon to receive all notifications. And as always, thanks for watching.